To somebody like me, a critical thinker who has become very congruent and therefore connected to reality, the real world, the real natural world, there's such a tiny variation of nonsense between Trump and Trudeau. And, how do we explain that we don't see it? Well, we don't see it because we don't have the right education system here to not be part of this HSD nonsense where we become domesticated sheep and we can't even incorporate different schemas anymore, even if we learn what they are and are well explained. It just kind of bounce right off. They melt in the brain before they form the right kind of networks. So for me, there's very little difference between the nonsense and the contradictions and the hypocrisy of this society. Is not something that's ready to be admitted or confronted compared to the United States. The United States are possibly doing worse when it comes to rebellions and people petitioning because they're ready to address the hypocrisies and the inconsistencies and the incongruences. But in Canada, we're not. In Canada, if if a premier says they will, they want to be the prime minister zero emission, right? Carbon emission, and yet by a certain date, and yet it doesn't include getting out of the extracting, the black gold out of the ground and selling it somewhere else, then it's a magical paradigm that they're using. It's the monetary paradigm. It's not the scientific paradigms of the natural world, because how can you be zero emissions if you're selling these oil products somewhere else on a interconnected planet like this? So again, you need an educated population to realize this. And of course, COVID here, as well as many places, sheds some new lights on dysfunctional systems like schools and mental health and senior care. But the thing is it's again wanting to put money into this, which is like trying to help an addict with cocaine. It's a broken system, and it got broken because of greed and the monetary paradigm and the bureaucracy and the numerous red tape. It's not about quality or repair anymore. So if Canada ever wants to pay attention for 1 second on what a socio-cyberneticist does, and hire one, they should most certainly be an ecocentric worldview type of socio-cyberneticist, because then they could point out some of the things I'm talking about. So if we, for example, create more green cars, and yet they're still stuck in traffic, right? Or if, we have green cars, but we're shipping oil somewhere else, and we say, that's how we balance the economy. We kind of, like a lot of countries, they'll produce oil of good quality and sell it somewhere else that'll buy it, and then they'll purchase oil of low quality and sell it to their people at a profit, and it's low quality. So, the monopoly game that the Chinese have won a long time ago, because they figured out they had to incorporate the war games with the monopoly games, and they've won. Of course, you can't win at war, and you can't win at monopoly. All you do is self-destruct. So maybe, they understood that with their trading routes in the ocean, they also had to involve the military in there, and they're very much securing a lot of things. And nobody's addressing reality, and everybody's surviving. Every society or country is just in survival mode right now. So, it's actually what they expected would happen, the Chinese, except that they saw this through, monetary paradigms, magical paradigms, and religious paradigms, and which is the supernatural. They didn't incorporate long-term natural world scientific paradigms to know that you'll just get an upper hand before you create a crash of the entire system, which you belong to. It's very much nonsense. And again, it's a very weird time of history. Let's say aliens came and they say, okay, we have good intentions, but we're going to kind of colonize you and we're going to take over and we're going to dominate. Oh, the Chinese are already doing it? Okay, we'll just wait for them to create a bit more structure and then we'll take them over and it'll be less work for us and you'll probably suffer a little bit less, although we're here to, to extract your resources, including yourselves. And but we'll do it more humanely than you are doing it to yourselves. And it's true. They're probably more advanced in sentience and sapience if they came here and they survived as a society to come all the way here. That they would help in a way by invading us, and fighting back would just be that we'd be repeating the cycle again and do the same thing to ourselves again in less humane ways than extraterrestrials might. They might just make us sheep like we make ourselves sheep, but in a way that, still would result in having a higher quality of life for us if they managed us than if we managed us. So it's pretty crazy to see that we're not talking about the right thing still. And it's the hypocrisy, to say, oh, this is happening in seniors' homes. And of course it's happening. Everybody knew. It's not like these seniors' homes were putting even more effort and energy in this secret conspiracy to hide what they were doing. No, that would have bankrupted them just to have this conspiracy to get away with these things without anybody knowing. Everybody knew. It's just we're kind of ready for a tiny little change of paradigm now, but we don't know how to fix it other than putting money in a broken system. So giving money to addicts of money who have lost their humanity with nobody to train them on human thinking tools. Nobody wants to even take volunteer training to take a Humanix program. So it's kind of sad to see this is happening. Now, this is a time of history where I said that I was born in Canada at a time that was too late to fix things because of social momentums that a socio-cyberneticist would understand. And it took me decades. It's really in the last 2-3 years that I've perfected my understanding of socio-cybernetics enough to actually understand all of these forces, to now say that even if there was 2% of people that understand what I did in Canada and they wanted to passionately, with conviction of the heart, apply solutions, it'd be too late. It would have to have been pretty much already 2/3 of the people like this when I was born to not allow this social momentum to progress the way that it is. So throwing money at this and not admitting that we have to work on our humanity, which other species seems to have mastered the concept of humanity more than we have, is sad. Now, during my lifetime, I can't help in Canada, but I could help in other countries. And again, this would, because we're all interconnected, not just environmental, climate related, but also medically, socially. There's ways that I could help another country and document it that would benefit Canada as well, because even in social systems, we're all interconnected now, even before the internet, really. So this is the way I can help Canada indirectly. And staying here only burns me out, drains me, creates more scars on my heart, and also makes me less and less motivated to want to help the species that I belong to, but that doesn't share the same operating system than I do. So that's why sometimes I have more fantasies about what would happen if extraterrestrials came. And it would be, even if they had kind of bad intentions, it would probably be a more humane way for us to crash our systems with their help. But they could also have good intentions. And in their good intentions, they could also possibly agree with somebody that's researched and documented and written so much about the human condition as I have, and say, Martin, we can't help them. We agree with you, but we can offer mitigations which, like you're saying, they won't agree to. So I guess we'll have to leave them on their own and crash, except that, we would like to maybe do a few things like help decommission, dangerous, nuclear reactors or things like that before we leave. So that's kind of the limits of my fantasies right now, because I can't expect the Homo communia to help themselves when they are now only capable, they can't even deviate from this, from being their own worst enemies.